Hi, Marcel, the Wood Butcher. Okay, back with another episode that has to do with our. Let me get the wire out of the way since I have to move the camera, and I don't even need to tell you people anymore. I'm a one-man show, and I don't have all these fancy doodahs and doohickeys and apparatus and stuff like that. But you know that, okay? Uh, this is actually going to be what I decided to post as step 4A of the seven-tiered candle holder that we're making with an arch in the middle. I had mentioned in the first part of step 4 and step 4 and got a very nice comment uh, from Chris D of Lemoore, California, about how much sense it makes and how just that little extra touch of looking great lining up grain makes. Okay, I've got, like I told you in video 4, we were going to start sanding and shaping. I've got a couple of the pieces already sanded and shaped, and you'll see that the grain, as best as I could match it, goes the same way. Um, both ends, that end. It's a little off, but that's okay. It goes the same direction. And on that end, okay? I also want you to notice that once it's sanded, and like I said, this is just double back carpet tape together. If we compress this, once we glue these pieces together, that seam there will become invisible, much like they are on this side. And it'll end up looking like one block of wood. But when it comes to matching the grain, something I decided to do with the centerpiece, that's the prominent piece of the prominent piece of the piece, is to, and that's the one that's made out of the 6 pieces of pallet wood, right? Which came out nice, sanded. Again, like I said, keep in mind this isn't clamped, it's just double back taped together, so there's some gaps. I like the natural, different shades of the wood, especially this guy here, but I'm still gonna, I'm probably gonna finagle with that a little bit too. And like I'm saying, see those seams there? Once this is clamped and glued, they, I don't even have the strength in my hands anymore, but they disappear. And when it's sanded, you don't even see them. But what I decided to do with the grain pattern on this, and I really don't remember if I mentioned this in video 4, like I said, this is 4A, is something called trying to achieve what's called a herringbone grain effect. And I think it came out looking spectacular. And there's what it looks like. That came out so nice that on the top piece, which is the pinnacle of the piece, there's that side, and there's the other rough grain side, right? You'll see the one little line here. That's a pencil mark. That'll sand off. No big deal. But I was really, really impressed with how that herringbone uh, lines, from came out from the grain of the wood. That is going to look spectacular when it's sanded a bit more. Like I said, this is only to 80 grit. I usually take it to 120, sometimes even more, depending on the final finish. But that is what the herringbone looks like. And I think that I'm going to put that in the center of the top. I know it doesn't look like it's level up here. The camera's distorting it, but believe me, it is. It is square. It is, right? But that's what I'm going to end up doing. And like I said, that's a herringbone and this is 6 pieces of wood just taped together. And I meticulously tried to match them up the best I could. And that's what it's going to look like. You build it the way you want. You run your grain to whatever ones you clock. Doesn't matter to me. I'm only giving suggestions. I'm not telling you how to. That's it. I mean, that's like I always say, even on my cards, you know, anything is possible with wood, with imagination. But I will say this, you know, match the grain as best you can whenever you can. It makes a world of difference when the product is actually finished, stained, or oiled, whatever you choose to use as a finish. It really doesn't matter to me. If you choose to use a matte lacquer or a shellac or a gloss lacquer, I'm a lacquer fan for some projects and a shellac fan for other projects. And I have a tendency to use the glossy because I think it just pops better. It just pops better. I gotta take a sip of Gatorade. And yes, it is Gatorade. We got a thunderstorm or brewing here in Middletown, New Jersey, and the humidity is probably about 84%. It's terrible. Okay. But anyway, that's it. It's a short one, but that's it. And as far as for all the pieces that are cut that I did in part 4, I'll hold them up for you so you can see. If I don't drop them, that is. Right? Actually, these are the pine pieces. Right? There's one set of 3 to make a cube, second set of 3 to make a cube, third set of 3 to make a cube, and the fourth set of 3 to make a cube. This one, I actually rounded the corners off. These I haven't done that with yet, right? And I didn't use a router to round these corners. What I do is I hold it up against the benchtop belt sander at 90 degrees with the sander going, slowly rotate it 90 degrees and go across. Then I take it from the other end this way, slowly rotate it to 90 degrees and go, and continue that, with all 4 corners. And they come out pretty rounded and pretty nice. Are they exact like a router would give me every time? Probably not. But you know what? The only person that's ever going to notice the imperfection of maybe the corners aren't exactly all the same degrees is you. And it's little things like that if you're making stuff to sell or making stuff to give to people as gifts and stuff like that, most woodworkers are so critical of their own work. They'll hand somebody something like this with a beautiful, beautiful work that they did to make a herringbone, wood grain show, and this and that, and then start pointing out their own imperfections about the corners not being, exactly 100% dead on balls accurate. Why do you do that to yourself? The only person that knows is you. If you have little blowouts and you fix them with with whatever method you use, whether it be a little bit of white glue and sawdust from the same wood. Don't take sawdust from pine and throw it into oak or maple and hope nobody's going to notice it. It just isn't going to work. Sometimes if you have a blowout, you got to do more damage to the blowout and cut a little piece in there, glue a little piece in there. Make it where it's a little rectangular or square piece that you can fit in there that one of your smallest chisels can fit into, and just put a new piece in there and glue it instead of trying to use that sawdust and glue. It works sometimes. It doesn't always work all the time. But anyway, I just wanted to give you part 4A of grain alignment and how it really makes a difference in the appearance of the pieces that you're making. Okay, so for right now, this is Marcel, the Wood Butcher, saying, protect your eyes, protect your lungs, protect your ears, and don't ever forget about these guys. Make some sawdust, because all sawdust is orgasmic to me. And remember, anything is possible with wood, with your imagination. And wood is nature's gift. Repurpose it whenever you can. Okay? Semper Fi, and bye for now.